Now, beloved within the Seventh-day Adventist Church, beloved within the Seventh-day Adventist Church, this is a very urgent message. A very urgent message called The Latter Rain and the Sons of Our President, Part 1. The Latter Rain and the Sons of Our President, Part 1. Now, here recently, I was watching a Sons of Law update from State Line Seventh-day Adventist Church under the leadership of a minister up there. And he was bringing out the fact that right now, the Sabbath question is headed to the Supreme Court. Again, after all these years since the Blair bill, and Jones and Wagner in their day. And he was talking to a lawyer called, I think, Cherney, and he had a question up there with Monique, and they're asking questions back and forth. And in this session, he brought out the first-day Christian, who's a mail deliverer guy, wanted Sundays off, but that in 1970s, the Supreme Court voted that in the 1970s, the Supreme Court voted that it's undue hardship on a business to accommodate just one person for their religious privileges if other employers start to complain about having their work schedule messed up from that one employee on the job. And the issue that Lord Cherney brought out is that you can't punish the religious person for their religious belief, because what are you going to punish disabled people for their disabilities if they're disabled and they can't work because of their disabilities? So he's saying the law has to be fair upon all standpoints. And then the question was asked by the lady there, how will this affect Seventh-day Adventists? Because the first day, this is for first-day Christians. And he said, what this can do is, this lawyer said, and I'm trying to quote him verbatim, I'm not trying to mess up any of his words, but he said, what this can do is, this can either bring the situation back to a regular standpoint where it all goes back to lower courts, nothing changes, or it can give more prosecutory discretion to lower courts on finances for suing if religious liberties are not respected, or it can be a situation where religious exemptions are not respected at all because of the situation where people need their work schedule respected, and the first-day Christians get upset, and the right gets upset. The more majority, like the follow people, the Christian nationalists, gets upset and say, "What? You're not going to let our brother keep Sunday?" And then laws are passed to enforce Sunday legislation. And the main thing this lawyer brought out was that Mr. White says the Sons of Law first happens down south before it happens in the north, because the Supreme Court will give states' rights back their states' rights. And we're going to go from a confederacy of states on a federal level to a states' rights. Now, think of me, beloved. I was at a church today. At the Oakwood University Church, and the head minister there was like, you know what? I don't judge anybody who breaks the Sabbath, who doesn't return tithe and offering, who works on the Sabbath, doesn't return tithe and offering, because you don't know the situation that person's in. Now, beloved, is that what we've gotten now? Are our Seventh-day Adventist leaders coming with the hellish torch of Babylon, telling people it's okay to break the Sabbath and not return tithe and offering because they're in a situation? I mean, doesn't the Bible say to obey is greater than sacrifice and to hearken than the fat of rams, 1 Samuel 15:22? Is that the attitude of our Seventh-day Adventist leaders? Sister Wyatt says, what shall we do when the majority forsake us? What shall we do when champions are few? We have more to fear from within than from without. Like the Bible says, the floods of ungodly men have made me afraid. That's Psalms. So that situation, we see this in the world and in the church, beloved. And it's so sad. And so the latter rain is coming right now. Now is no time, beloved, for ease talking. Now is no time for. Now is no time for. Now is no time for. Now is no time for accepting Sunday legislation to get a job or stay good with your employer or to not lose your life. Now is no time to break the Sabbath just to not get persecuted. The Bible says, blessed are ye when you're persecuted for righteousness' sake, for there is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed you when men shall revile you, and to say I'm not even against you for false for my sake. Rejoice and leap for joy in that day, for great is your reward in heaven. When men shall separate themselves from you and cast your name out as evil. That's the pendulum we see today. We see it in the world and the church, and yet the latter rain is happening. We also see a counterfeit revival, a counterfeit latter rain hitting the churches. We see all the celebration of star worship in a lot of our mainline Adventist churches, like the First Seventh-day Adventist Church in Huntsville, the Old University Church in Huntsville. I was at a church today, and they were getting up there dancing on the pulpit and getting their jiggy on and dancing with drums. And that's the same church where the minister was saying he doesn't see anything wrong with somebody fornicating or violating the fourth commandment of the Sabbath 7 days a week, or not returning tithe and offering because they're in a situation of shacking up. That's the time we're in. We're in a counterfeit revival, a modern revival, and no standards in our Seventh-day Adventist churches. Where is Elijah, beloved? Where is the revival reformation? And our Catholic, the sister wives of the Catholics will assist the evangelicals or the apostate Protestants. The papists will assist them. So don't be deceived that Biden will not assist these evangelicals or these apostate Protestants that are pushing for Sunday. But we know most likely when the Sunday law happens, it's going to come through a right-wing, Republican, evangelical, apostate Protestant administration. We know that, most likely. And then also, we just heard of a law in Texas. I was watching that Sunday law update up their state line today. And it says they want to bring back prayer in schools and make it mandatory for kids to read the Bible and pray in the middle of their day and have the Ten Commandments on the doors around them and in the classroom, and they want to redefine the 7th day of the week Sabbath because that's up for interpretation, and take out the second commandment because that's not a commandment found in the Catholic commandments, because they want to make the commandments more acceptable to all religions in their schools. And so they want to force mandatory religion, but their religion, their apostate Protestant religion. So I would say that this president is leading on to giving states back their states' rights. Is leading on to bring on a civil war. He's leading on to, and the Sun's all will first happen down south. He's leading on to taking away the law that the Bill of Rights gives, privileges for Sabbath, privileges for Seventh-day Adventists and other Sabbath-keeping faiths. He's leading on to all these things, and we're in that time, and we're in the latter rain. When the latter rain comes, God's people will be sealed. The 144,000 will be sealed, making it through the time of trouble. And Revelation chapter 17:14 says, they that are with the Lamb are called and chosen and faithful. Who's the Lamb? It's Christ. Where are they standing on? Mount Zion. They're standing on Mount Sinai. They're standing in New Jerusalem. They're standing in God's church. They're brought into a clean linter. They're not going to be dancing and wearing jewelry and eating meat and fornicating and all and shacking up and not returning tithe and offering, breaking the Sabbath. No, that's not the church. That's Laodicea. That's the people that are spewed out of the mouth of God. In fact, Sister White says in Words to a Flock, she says that she saw that those synagogue of Satan were professed Adventists who once followed God, but confessed that the true Adventists were God's people, and worshiped at the saints' feet, and eventually were lost and received the 7 last plagues. We need to believe all that the Bible and the Spirit of prophecy has stated. And we know the mark of the beast Christ is coming, because she says the mark of the beast Christ is the last act in the drama. Now, what does it mean by the mark of the beast Christ? I mean the Sunday law. And she says after the mark of the beast Christ, we're going to hear the day and hour of God's coming in the air, right for the second coming. That's how I know the Davidians and the shepherd rods are wrong, because they teach there's no mark of the beast crisis. They teach we must go out to Israel. They teach us a secret coming to this earth where Christ meets secretly of hundreds of people in a secret place. And they're a hoax. They're an apostasy. Because Sister White's early writings, we're not to go back to Israel, because we can't convert large of those Jews because they already rejected Christ at his first coming. And then she says many things about those things. And then Matthew says, if they say go in the secret chambers, go not forth. Go not forth with them in the secret chambers. So we need to really be mindful that Jesus is warning us, be faithful and not be deceived. So it's not just being faithful to God in his last days and not committing sin. It's also not being deceived by Satan's delusions. When Christ comes back, every eye shall see him and his feet shall touch the earth. So we need to be mindful of his second coming, Christ's second coming. We need to be mindful of following God with all the heart, soul, mind, and strength. And we need to be mindful of not giving in to pressure to avoid persecution. That minister, his posture appears to me that he is trying not to get persecuted. That's why he was compromising. The pastor of the Oakwood University Church, I'm not coming to any names, he should remain nameless, because when he made that statement today, I knew something was up. I knew the jig was up. And then I was reading the book of Esther, how Haman, he had a plot against the Jews. The spiritual Jews in this case, Seventh-day Adventist Church. Right now, there's a plot against our church to shut our church down through COVID-19, the mark of the beast crisis, and to bring on the Sunday law. We need to remain faithful. Most Congress and Father, thank you for this Sabbath just passed. Thank you, wonderful mercy and blessing. I ask you to protect your people in the Sunday law crisis. Let us have the latter rain, a counterfeit latter rain or a modern revival within the majority of our churches. Let us come to a clean linter and give a straight testimony and finish the work of Jesus Christ. I pray, man. And after, God bless you, family. Good evening.